the other day, and I couldn't remember. Hi, Matt. How are you? Good.
As soon as we're done conferring,
Okay.
we'll get rolling.
At least we're not missing baseball. I go, oh, I won't miss anything. It's off tonight.
This is a triple for me. I had Tuesday night band practice. Last night, no, we had the 4-hour meeting on this.
Yeah, TiVo'd it. No one home and watched it. Nice thing about TiVo, though, you get rid of the last 3 innings. I watched a little. I watched six innings. Now I sped through the other 3. You guys are giants. You gotta let up on people a little bit. You gotta have one 7-game series before playoff.
You look pretty good,
If
Matt.
the Braves ran it, I'd be like, man, I want every game to be 10-0, 4 games.
Good evening and welcome to the October, excuse me, I'm looking at the agenda here. It says October 23rd.
Yes.
Planning Commission. Bill, Abraham? Can I have verification of agenda posting, please?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. The verification of the agenda posting was posted on Friday, October 17th, 2014 at 11 a.m.
Thank you. Commissioner Torres, will you lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Lenore.
Present.
Commissioner Torres.
Here.
Commissioner Harvey.
Here.
Chairman Huboy.
Here.
And I will note that Commissioner Alvarez is absent.
Thank you. Communications from the public on items not listed on the agenda? Oh, excuse me, thank you. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
I'm asking for approval of the minutes dated August 28th, 2014.
I move that we approve the minutes of August 28th, 2014 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second those.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Communications from the public on items not listed on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak on any item not on the agenda?
There are no
No
speakers.
speakers. We go into public hearings. Item number 1, Growth Management Allocations 2014-7, filed by Robert Infelice, requesting 102 allocations on a property consisting of 22.38 acres in the proposed R1L/PZ low-density residential zoning district located north of Apricot Lane, being more specifically described as APN 20-06-11. Staff report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is requesting, as you mentioned, 102 residential allocations on approximately 21.84 acres of land designated low-density residential and open space located north of Apricot Lane, south of Jacqueline Drive, west of County Road, and east of the industrial sewer ponds and the San Benito River. The applicant would eventually submit an application for a tentative map for the single-family units.
The City of Hollister has awarded a total of 193 residential allocations this year so far, out of a total of 244. As of today, there are 51 allocations that can still be awarded until December 31st, 2014. Staff is recommending that 25 out of the 51 residential allocations left for this year be awarded to this project so that the 26 remaining residential allocations can be awarded to other prospective smaller infill development projects and/or for affordable housing. The applicant can return at the beginning of the year for the remaining allocations. And with this, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution awarding 25 residential allocations to the Robert N. Felice Apricot Lane for a low-density residential development. Any questions for staff?
Any questions?
Did you say that was recommendation for 25?
That's correct. Yes. Out of the 102 that they're requesting at this time.
All right. With no questions, we'll go into public hearing at 6:08. Any speakers? Any speaker cards?
There are no speaker cards, Mr. Chair. The applicant's representative here is here if she wants to say anything. You're good at?
Ann Hall with San Benito Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant in case you have any questions.
Just a comment that I have is that I noticed that what we're looking at is going to be revised in the future. The drive is going to be shifted over from the open space. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. The summer drive is going to be actually shifted a little bit more towards the east, so it's going to be outside of the where it states right now in the park area,
Okay.
the open space area.
Any questions for? Okay, well, thank you, Ann.
No
Good
problem.
to see you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else in the audience care to speak on this item? With no further speakers, I will close the public hearing at 6:09 and bring it back to the commission for discussion. So we're not really going over the design, it's just the allocations, right, for the 25 for this year, and then they'll have to come back and reapply for the remaining up to the 102 that they're applying for, the total number of allocations.
For the 77 remaining, correct.
Well, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve growth management allocations 2014-7 and Planning Commission Resolution PC
29.
2014-29 as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that item is approved. Congratulations. Now we go into item number 2, site and architectural application for Quick Stop. The applicant is requesting approval of a site and architectural application for a facade improvement in the North Gateway zoning district. The site is located at 10 San Felipe Road. Abraham
Joe.
or Joe?
Thank you.
The applicant is requesting site and architectural approval for the facade improvement of existing gas station and mini market, which is known as Quick Stop. The existing mini market front elevation east is adorned with a permanent awning with composition shingles. The applicant is proposing to update the building facade by removing the current awning and replacing it with a modern fascia addition. The fascia addition would wrap from the south, east, and north elevations and is proposed at 5 foot 9 inches in height. The south fascia elevation would have a white horizontal stripe along the base of the larger horizontal red stripe above. The east, which is the front elevation, would also have the same striping with an additional signage area for the newly illuminated channel letters and logo sign reading Quick Stop. The north elevation would also have a continued red and white striping with the northeast corner repeating the new Quick Stop logo and channel letters. With this, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving site and architectural application 2014-10, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions for staff?
I guess I want to ask, did they present any other options? You know, sometimes they'll have a variation of what they're trying to do. Was this the only one that was?
This was, yeah, correct.
Did the Development Review Committee look favorably upon this?
They understood, it was the franchise, it
Yeah,
was
it's a
something that's
franchise,
common,
but-
yeah.
right. And I have a concern that I think the shakes are more attractive in fitting in with what's going on, but it's gonna match the awning, the awning over the pumps. It's already looks like that, huh? So they're just matching it?
That's
Well,
correct.
Only because it's a lot of red, and that's not really a color I favor, but if that was the only option they submitted, then that's what we can consider.
That's a good
That's what I will
evaluation.
consider.
That's a good evaluation, Commissioner Lenore. We look at that because there are mansard roofs in the vicinity. There's Jerry's that has the same similar roof as well. But that was one of the things as well, being that it's a franchise, and Yeah.
maybe it'll look better than what the pictures are showing.
Correct.
Is what I'm hoping, that it's just not so boxy. It's boxy. I'm not really a fan of the boxy look. It doesn't have any
Yes.
contour to it. So that's what's
Sure.
bothering me, is the straightness.
Sure,
Maybe that's just me, so. Thank you.
sure.
Carol? Any other comments or questions for staff? on this
Just have
item?
one question. So it's just the facade, no other types of improvements that would tie to this, like any of the illuminated signs for the gas pricing, or will the building be painted also is that also included in the facade package, I guess, or?
They didn't propose any painting or any revisions to the monument sign, it's just the fascia.
Okay.
I'm not sure if maybe they're just doing it kind of at a different pace because they already did the canopy and then
Right.
they're doing this. I'm sure it'll kind of go in
Okay.
phases.
Maybe that's what is looking awkward too, is the tan paint with the red and white. And they might consider a better color that would be more attractive for their business.
More
The
consistent.
base of beige doesn't go with red and white.
Unless that's the corporate.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
maybe a white building would look good with that, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Recommend that, yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
That's a good point. Joe was just bringing up a good point that we can, if the commission desires, recommend that the applicant look into adjusting the body of the building to match the colors of the fascia of the facade improvement, and then bringing it to staff for our review and consistency determination.
Yeah,
I would be for that.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
No further questions?
No.
I will open the public hearing at 6:13. Any speaker cards?
There are no speaker cards for this item, Chairman Huber.
Is the applicant in the audience? Wish to care to speak
No,
on this?
they're not here tonight.
Not here tonight? Okay. I will close the public hearing then at 6:14. Bring it back to the commission. Discussion?
None for me.
Nope.
I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll make a motion to approve site and architectural application, no number on here.
Number 30?
2014-8, with
10.
the PC, Planning Commission Resolution PC 2014-30.
Did you, discussion on that motion, did you want to include for the applicant to look into?
Or staff to
volume-
discuss
or staff
consistency in color combinations.
Okay.
color combination?
Yes.
Add that to-
Thank you, Chair. And we'll add that to my motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 That item is approved. We go on to public hearing item number 3, site and architectural application number 2014-9, Ken Ballesteri / Galaxy Storage. The applicant is requesting approval of a site and architectural application for the construction of 3 mini-storage buildings totaling 22,400 square feet in an existing personal storage facility, Galaxy Storage, in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District. The site is located at 1901 San Felipe Road. Being more specifically described as the San Benito County Assessor's parcel number 051-120-068 and 069. CEQA is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15332, Infill Development Projects, Class 32.
Thank you,
Jill?
Mr. Chairman. Yes. The applicant's requesting site and architectural approval to construct 3 mini-storage buildings totaling 22,400 square feet on 2 separate lots that are adjacent to each other and are part of the same storage land use. Building F is proposed at 5,600 square feet on a portion of a 2.86 acre site. Building K, which is 7,600 square feet, and Building L, 9,200 square feet, would be located on a portion of the 2.03 acre site. Both sites are the location of existing personal mini storage known as Galaxy Storage. The mini storage buildings would be placed with concrete slab on grade. The buildings will be used for rental of personal storage, typically 200 square feet. The maximum height of the buildings would be 9 feet to the top of the roof. The buildings would have several overhead coiling steel doors to match the existing structures for access to each personal storage unit. The newly constructed mini storage buildings would match all existing buildings in panel profile, thickness, type, finish, and color. The site is within the Hollister Municipal Airport Comprehensive Land Use Plan Inner Safety Zones. The ALUCP has identified the site as within Zone 2 Inner Approach and Departure Zone, which classifies the mini storage as conditional as long as the project is a single story. The project is also within the Zone 3 Inner Turning Zone, which classifies the mini storage as a normally compatible and will not result in a safety hazard for people working or customers within the project site, and the impact of the project would be insignificant. The project was referred to the Airport Land Use Commission and received a consistency determination.
Thank you, Joe. After reviewing the conditions with the applicant, staff would like to make modifications to some of the conditions as provided to you in the memo from staff. And at this time, we would like to just briefly go over these modifications. In the memo that you received, and we also have some of these in the front lobby for the audience as well. Condition number 15 in the draft resolution basically states the requirement for an RPP. The RPP, there is one existing already at the site. However, the words in red that says such as if a new water connection is proposed is just in case there is a need for a new RPP, such as if there's a new water connection that's proposed. There's none being proposed at this time, but the condition is there just in case if that were to happen at the time of the building permit issuance. So, and as all these other conditions are basically, the modifications are basically consistent. Number 16 is the words "if required" are added for the same for the RPP. Number 17, as you can see in the memo or up in the screen as well, at the very beginning, if applicable, is also added to the condition, such as if there are any new additional sewer line connections. Number 18, again, if applicable, such as if there's any new additional sewer line connections. Number 21 as well, if applicable, such as with any new water line connections. The radar remeters, there are already radar remeters on the site, but again, if there's any new water line connections, there's going to be the requirement of new water read meters at the site, so only if applicable. Number 22, if applicable as well. Number 23, no new, the word new is added to floor drains, shall be connected to the site sanitation system. Number 24 as well, no new building, trees, bushes, other structures. And this is basically because it's already an existing mini storage. This standard architectural is for the addition of 3 new buildings. Number 28 refers to landscaping, so the words on red is for on all proposed landscaping. The applicant should use drought-resistant plant material. Number 29, on all new landscaped areas as well. Number 34, on the draft condition, it's basically, we decided to basically remove that condition because there is no new buildings for office use where new exit signs would be required, and the intent is not for the mini storage buildings itself to have the exit signs, so therefore we decided to cross that out after talking with the applicant. And finally, actually 2 more, 36 refers to all light sources, but because it's already an existing mini storage building, it would be all new light sources should be fully shielded from off-site view. And in the next sentence, it doesn't have it, but it should also say all new lights to be downcast except where it can be proved to not adversely affect other parcels. And finally, condition number 39, it's not in the memo, but it is on it's on the resolution
39,
on page
page 7.
7 of 9, thank you. Number 39, it's under the airport section of the conditions of approval. It states, prior to occupancy, the applicant should submit a site plan to the City of Hollister Airport Manager and obtain approval for project lighting. And the staff is requesting that it just states for new project lighting. And again, because it's already an existing site, and the recommendation is for the proposed buildings that are coming in before you, for your approval. And these are recommendations that are brought for the modifications of these conditions after talking with the applicant and then discussing them with staff. But again, these are just recommendations, and it's up to the commission if you agree with these changes, and if so, we would be happy to implement them. With this, staff recommends that the planning commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving Saturn Architectural Application Number 2014-9, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution and modifications to the conditions as stated.
Thank you, Abraham. Any questions for Abraham? With no questions, I'll open up the public hearing at 6:24 p.m. Do you have any speaker cards?
There are no speaker cards, Mr. Chair, but the applicant and the architect are here if they want to mention anything.
Will the applicant or applicant's agent architect care to speak on this item?
Hi, I'm Chris Perez, architect of the project, and I just had one question that we sort of tossed it back and forth with Abraham, but I don't really understand it. Maybe you all could clarify for me. Here it is, number 27.
27.
It says that all urinals and commodes in all buildings shall be low flush. And I'm surprised, because in my experience, if you have existing facilities and you're not changing those facilities, in that site plan, you know, the big building is where the plumbing is. The new buildings have no plumbing. And so here, there's plumbing here that's existing. And I'm just surprised at the scope of this requirement, because in my experience, which, you know, maybe not right, but it always seemed to me that that was existing, you leave it alone, and you make conditions on your new work.
I will say this, Christina, and I don't know how this applies to the urinals, but I do know that the Calgreen Code does, in residential projects, does require if you're doing it, like, say you're doing an addition or remodeling project, they require you to go through the existing fixture units and change them out. Now, I don't know how this would apply, but it would be subject
Well,
to the building review.
I see. Well, like I say, I'm not a lawyer, and there must
Yeah.
be some law that I'm not familiar with, because it just seems like a slippery slope. When you start doing that kind of thing, then you can say, well, you know, the signage isn't according to our existing signage law. The signage on this building,
So
you know,
she's
may
saying
not
it's
satisfy.
legal non-conforming.
It may, I don't know, it may or may not satisfy the
Right.
new laws. So where
Well-
do you draw the line?
well, I
and
think-
say,
I
well,
think-
this is existing and this is new.
Yeah, I think what I would be in favor of is just to leave that to the discretion of during the building review process. We're not going to make that call.
Yeah.
That's
If
what I
it's
would.
part of the
Yeah.
uniform building code, then you do it.
Yeah.
Well, if
That's part,
yeah.
when it goes through the process,
Mm-hmm.
then that will be reviewed and that the determination will be made. But I don't see us as making that call on the planning commission.
Right, I would think that if in this case, it's not a non-issue, because the owner's already said that his plumbing fixtures are all compliant, and so it's just not an issue. It's just that I just think it sets a precedent, and that's what bothers me, is I think, okay, in this project, it's that, In the next project, we want you to seismically refit all your existing buildings because they're dangerous or something.
Well-
And the project has nothing to do with the existing buildings, it has to do with new buildings.
What were you quoting, David, when you were talking about
Cal Green
architecture?
code, Cal Green, yeah.
And that links into the building permit process?
Yes, it's part of the bill, it's
Okay.
part of the adopted, it's one of the adopted codes.
So maybe we don't need to make it a condition, is what she's saying, and it'll be taken care of on its own if it has to be taken
That-
care of.
That's what I'm saying too. I mean,
Sounds good?
yeah.
But
That's just
I just sort of
mine's.
thought, as long as I get a chance you know, that's the only thing that I saw that just didn't make sense to me.
I understand, and I agree that it doesn't really, you look at it, because it's an existing, and it, I mean, you're
Yeah,
not.
there's no connection at all. and
There's
so
no
I-
connection to what you're
you just-
proposing.
You just wonder, because if it gets in the record with this project,
Uh-huh.
and people start thinking along those lines, then the next project you do, you say, well, that's the precedent. I mean, we do reach backwards and fix things when we're doing new
Right.
things, and that's never been the rule as far as, I mean, this is a
Yeah.
drought year, and so I can
Mhm.
see where in a drought year, people go to extremes.
Mhm.
But drought years are only come and go, and precedents stay.
Mhm.
So that's my concern.
Right. But then again, the Cal Green Code, as I say, and I do have experience with it, it does, in some situations, does require you to go into existing fixtures and upgrade those fixtures to low-flow fixtures. It's,
I'm sure,
It's part
yeah,
of those
I'm sure I
regulations,
need
yeah.
education on that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Christina.
you.
Any other speakers?
No speaker cards,
Okay.
Chairman Huey.
Right. I will close the public hearing now at 6:28. Back to the commission.
I move that we adopt resolution 2014-31, approving sign architectural number 2014-9 for Galaxy Storage with the conditions as amended per the memorandum dated 10/23, as well as the amendment of condition 39. Get there again. To state all new buildings.
Correct.
Right.
39, because it wasn't part of this memo. And the deletion of condition number 27.
Okay.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 That item is approved. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And on item number 4, I will read what that item is, and then I will state for the record that will recuse myself from discussion on that item because, for the reason that Hugh Boy Architecture has provided architectural services for this item. So after I read the item 4, I will ask Vice Chair Lenore to fill in on my behalf in my absence. So item number 4 is conditional use permit number 2014-4 for a planned unit development and tentative map application number 2014-3. Sierra Nevada Land Company. The applicant is requesting approval of a tentative map to subdivide a 4.27 acre parcel and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development application consisting of a total of 46 townhouse units on 46 individual lots within a medium-density residential performance overlay zoning district. The project is located south of Union Road, west of Calistoga Drive, north of Panorama Drive, and east of Sierra Vista Drive, being more specifically described as San Benito County's assessor's parcel number 057-370-067, CEQA's mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, this is something new for me, so I hope I can do it justice.
Oh, it's locked.
So, does the commission have any question, you present the report first?
Yes,
We'll
please.
receive the report from staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chairman.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting approval of a tentative map to subdivide a 4.27 acre parcel and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development application consisting of a total of 46 townhouse units on 46 individual lots within a medium-density residential performance overlay zoning district, R3 MPZ. The applicant is proposing to provide vehicular access from 2 new driveways. The first driveway would be from Union Road, and the second driveway would be from Panorama Drive. The driveways would be adjoined as a private interior access street throughout. Lots 1 through 12 would be located along the south side of the project site and consist of building A and B. Lots 13 through 20 would be located along the interior access road centrally on the project site and consist of buildings G and F. Lots 21 through 34 would be located along Union Road and consist of buildings H and D. Lots 35 through 46 would be located along the interior access road and eastern portion of the project site and would consist of buildings E and C. Landscaping would include various trees, shrubs, vines, and ground cover. The entire site would need to apply for a landscape application package approval with the planning department to comply with the water efficient landscape ordinance of the Hollister Municipal Code Section 15.22, water efficient landscape. The applicant is proposing the existing detention pond located along the western property line to be converted to an underground infiltration system, and the storm drain easement is being proposed to revert back to the owner. The plans for this area would be to serve as a dual use for a private park area for the townhomes. Some of the amenities include a shade arbor with picnic tables and barbecues, a large open lawn area, and a basketball half court, benches and fitness station equipment to be located within the park as well as throughout the site. This project will be broken up into 4 phases of development. Phase 1 would include vehicular and pedestrian ingress-egress driveway access from Panorama Drive. An improved secondary pedestrian access pathway would also be included east of the proposed Unit 12. Phase 1 would also include the construction of Building A and B to be located along Panorama Drive. The applicant would also be required to install the entire proposed park site area prior to the final occupancy of the last unit, Unit 12 of Phase 1. Phase 2 is proposed to include the construction of buildings F and G located centrally on the project site. Phase 3 would be the construction of buildings C and E located on the eastern portion of the site. Phase 4 would be construction of buildings D and H to be located along Union Road. And I just would like to add that they would have to the applicant would need to return for a site and architectural review when those buildings are proposed for Phase 1 and following phases.
Thank you, Jill. The subject property is located within the medium-density residential performance overlay zoning district, R3 MPZ. A mitigative negative declaration was adopted for tentative map 2009-3 for the subdivision of the entire 12.11 acre parcel into 42 single-family residential lots, which have already been built and occupied, and that subdivision also required a 4.27 remainder parcel, which is the subject property that we're discussing tonight. And that was approved on the May 27, 2010 Planning Commission meeting per PC Resolution 2010-11. The Planning Commission determined at the March 27, 2014 Planning Commission meeting a few months ago to remove the commercial component and allow for 46 units on the 4.27 acre remainder parcel to be used as a minimum as opposed to the original proposal, and recorded the restriction stipulating the minimum of 54 units to be implemented for the previous tentative map. An addendum to the mitigative negative declaration addresses the removal of the previously approved commercial component and the reduction of an originally proposed 54-unit apartment complex to a 46-unit townhouse development. At its November 11, 2013 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission approved resolution number 2013-3, awarding the property with the residential allocations required for the residential built out of the sites with these 46 new townhomes allocations. Mitigation measure 11-4 of the mitigative neg deck requires that prior to any future multifamily development On the remainder parcel, the applicant would be required to construct a 6-foot tall barrier, such as a concrete block wall, along the boundary lines of Phase 1 and 2 of the project, basically along the rear yard property lines of the single-family homes, where they join Phases 3 and 4, basically where they join the townhomes of the project, except along the frontage of Panorama Drive. With this, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and make the following motions. Number 1, approve conditional use permit number 2014-4 for the approval of the PUD for Walnut Park 14, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. And number 2, approve tentative map 2014-3, Walnut Park 14, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Hey, Ram, at the opening of your comment, you said that the park area will act as the biofiltration system, you're saying, or is that it will run through the storm to an underground
It's going to be an
bioswale?
underground.
Bioswale, okay.
That's correct,
I got it.
yes.
All right. That was my last question.
Okay, are there any further questions or comments from the commission? Then I'll open the public hearing at 6:38. Is there anybody wishing to comment? Okay. Can you come to the podium? Yeah, you don't have to tell us your name or even anything, just, we need to hear you on the tape.
I'm just curious about traffic and vehicles, and if this area, I just drove down Union on my way here, and there are 20-plus cars parked because there's a community park right across the street where Parks and Recreation has soccer practice, and the school's, tomorrow night's Fall Festival, it will be jam-packed. And I'm thinking, okay, 40 homes, let's say, ballpark at least 100 more cars in that area. It's an access, it's a drop-off and a pickup for a service to school. It's already a mess. And there's no parking, I don't think I think they pull the road out in this plan. I don't know, I can't tell from here if there will be any parking still on Union Road. Any access, because there's no access from the service to school parking, because everything's locked up there, and it's a small area. So I was curious, because everything else is red on the other side of the street, on
And
Union.
Typically, when you got that type of thoroughfare, such as Union Road, they're not gonna do any parking on that street.
Okay, so I'm
It's not
wondering
designed
where,
for
because
that.
it's a community park.
What's that?
Because it is a community park, I was curious is there a plan? Because I don't know where else.
When you're saying community park, what are you referencing?
The school?
Yeah,
The
it's a
school park?
community
Oh,
/
yeah, they use it.
yes, facility.
And then what were you asking about that?
Like, what's gonna happen to all those vehicles, and where's the overflow from this area? Because I think it's 2 cars per unit.
Yeah, I can answer. Each townhouse will have a 2-car covered parking garage, and then at this point, it does meet surface parking as well for guest parking. So for site and architectural, we'll also, at each phase, analyze each parking, but propose there's two cars, which the amount of bedrooms, they have enough per code so far.
So it does meet the requirement of the parking for the city of Hollister.
I'm
He's
just
met
curious
the
if there
parking
was any
requirements.
like kind of traffic
Study,
study
any
done,
traffic count
anything?
studies?
Because I mean, just with the few houses that were built around us,
Okay,
it's crazy.
well, it certainly has
So-
peak times, right? It's not crazy all day. It's crazy when the school's getting in, starting, and crazy when it's getting out. Other than that, it
Actually,
shouldn't be that
I think
bad.
because they opened up, I think people access that way also from Enterprise, and they come through, and they shoot through on Calistoga. So it's a
It's
lot different than we
circulation.
thought it was gonna be, that's for sure. It's definitely an intersection
Yeah.
right there at Calistoga and also at Cerro Vista and Union. And Union's just a busy road.
But I mean, you're never gonna escape the impact you have at the peak times, whether we
Well,
approve
no,
this
but
or not.
adding
you're
100
yeah.
cars at least, especially with all the new people moving in, people have at least 2 cars. Even the single people have sometimes at least 2 cars. So I'm just curious. It just sounds especially with the no parking with the park and the school there.
So
I'm just curious what, if,
we can ask the engineering division if there's been any recent
Yeah.
studies for traffic patterns in that area.
or if there's a plan for parking for the recreational area.
Well, it's public parking. I mean, that's what
But
streets
there
are
is no,
for.
there is no parking on the street though, is a problem. I mean,
But
there's
where are they
nothing-
currently parking at then?
They're
Inside the
parking,
school?
there's red on the school side, it's all
Right.
red, and on the other side, it's just dirt right now. So people are parked,
Do they not use the school parking lot when they come for the
No.
soccer practice?
no, it's on the far side and.
Yeah, I used to
gates-
go up there for
Yeah,
practice.
the gates are locked up there, so
Yeah.
you can't walk through the school.
It, because
And there's
it's-
just not enough, and the school's
Okay.
growing, they're adding, I don't even know how many more units they're adding too. So pickup and drop off is crazy at all three
Okay,
locations,
thank you.
yeah. So I was just curious if there was a plan for that.
Okay,
Do a study or?
thank you for your comments.
Okay, I would like to draw attention to special condition, item number 45, where it states, prior to occupancy of the last unit on Phase 4, the applicant shall construct a raised median on Union Road with a low fence to discourage mid-block pedestrian crossing between the east side of the intersection of Sierra Vista Drive, Union Road, and the west side of the intersection of Calistoga Drive, Union Road, per mitigation measure 15.3. Landscape can be used in lieu of the low fence in the raised median. The landscape should be a type that can discourage pedestrians from crossing. So the intent on that condition is to help alleviate some of the problems that you're talking about. The parking on Union Road, pretty much all of Union Road is no parking. There is parking on the south side of Union Road right now, but that's because it's an unimproved dirt area. Once this project is complete, Union Road will be completed. Parking along Union Road will most likely be eliminated. That takes city council action to do so. And parking for the recreational activities on the Sierra Vista Park, really, they should be using school parking facilities. That is, not really the jurisdiction of the planning commission, because it is a park and recreation commission responsibility to try and get adequate parking for those areas. People will park along the streets. Yes, there is congestion in that area. It's a byproduct or result of schools being placed in locations where there's a lot of, locations such as this where it fronts a major road. The engineering department of the city is very sensitive to that area, and hopefully the installation of the raised median and the fence will keep kids from running across the street and force them to use the crosswalks at Sierra Vista and Calistoga. That is really the best that we can do for the mid-block crossing. This is actually a better situation than what was there before, because prior to the change, it was going to be a neighborhood commercial where you would have many more children running across the street to go get their snacks. And so this actually is a much better situation than was approved prior.
She's concerned with the parking, but again, the,
Just 100 more cars in that,
Well,
just circulation in general.
so
it's
as,
such a small median. It's so narrow and small and
Okay.
just,
so you need to be up with the microphone if you want to have more talking.
it's just, if,
Union's a wide road, though.
it's not, it won't be. It is right now.
Well, you,
But it's just because it's it's oddly shaped right there right now, so people can park and have been, I mean, for years. 'Cause
Right.
Sierra Vista was there first.
So you're concerned about the ones that are parking off to the dirt now, where
Well,
are they
it's
gonna
like,
park?
well,
when
and that's the
Union-
thing, so Fall Festival's tomorrow.
Yeah,
And back to school night, it is packed. And Sierra Vista, when it was built, it just was not built for that many, I mean, how many classrooms have been put on that classroom since
exactly.
then?
So
So
the
it was
school
great
probably bears
then.
some responsibility there as well
Well,
to
that-
provide more parking.
Well, and they added it wasn't a recreational facility either when it was built. So they've done that, but they haven't done the work to, to support that. So, and
Okay.
I think they're adding more, and they're adding a bigger, like a $10,000 play structure.
But when you're talking about parking, this development has the parking to sustain itself on site.
For
But
them,
you're talking
I'm
about
talking
just
about
volumes of
just the
traffic.
traffic.
Okay.
That's gonna
So-
incur.
So the parking
and
isn't so much a
that it's
concern.
taking up, well, it's both, because as it is already, our streets are already, we have people parked.
But this
by
development
us.
isn't further impacting the parking because they're providing parking on site for their
Well,
development.
but for themselves, but then there's those 20 cars that are parked there right now. You know what I mean? And like tomorrow, it'll be for Fall Festival, and
But you
that's
have
why
that
I'm-
in any school area when they're having functions.
Um,
It's everywhere like that. You've been to the high
well, I
school?
understand, but why do, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Why not work with this, it's a city facility and a school, why do that? Now that you have a choice.
But then he wouldn't be able to develop his land, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
then he
I
shouldn't
don't care.
develop?
I don't care about that.
Well,
I
he
care
has
about
rights
the
to
whole-
develop because
No,
he's
I
meeting
totally
everything.
understand. I feel like the city just needs to maybe just think about it before
Okay.
plopping it on there.
Okay.
That's all, just kind of think of it and take it into consideration and maybe, and I don't know what the recreation department or the school had, because they still have that whole lot to develop in
Right,
the corner, so, yeah.
okay.
Just, that's it. I'm
understand.
just putting it out there because it is gonna be, because nobody's here now, but they will be after it's all done.
Okay.
And there's, because it's, and,
You
know,
were
we
smart to
we-
come now, so
we
thank you.
just got well, I've been fighting for
Yeah,
a crosswalk,
yeah,
and no, not that anybody uses it, but, and there's no stop sign. You know, it should be a four-way stop, so even that's been slow to come.
okay.
So it's just a huge concern, because I know it's gonna be, yeah, it's not gonna go away.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously the recreation department wasn't worried about it yet either, so, I don't know, just something to put out there.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much. Any other comments, speakers? Hello.
So I'm a resident of Panorama. I actually just purchased a house about a
Okay.
year and a half ago. So my main concern is, are these homes going to be for sale, or are they going to be rented or leased out?
They're, well, we can ask the applicant. I don't want to speak for them, but if I had to guess, I'd say they were for sale.
Okay.
Townhomes, yeah.
So has the city researched the type of families it's going to bring into the community?
Well, certainly, it's a free world.
I know it's
We
a free-
can't dictate who can move into a subdivision, so no, we haven't
Okay.
done that.
Just the reason why, is the reason why I moved into Panorama
Absolutely.
was because, it's very peaceful. I have my family there, and I feel
Right.
comfortable
I-
with my kids being out there. And it just brings a concern, like
Sure.
she said, bringing 96 new cars and 96 different characters in there, what it's going to do to the actual community itself.
I think you probably it's a nice area.
It is a nice area,
Yeah,
so
that's
just-
why you moved there.
My concern is it's going to degrade the area.
Well, I think the development is market rate, so it's probably good.
These are
Okay.
townhomes going
I
on,
don't
they're
want
not
to
low-income.
say
it's
anything
not
about
low-income
affordable housing, but it
right?
is market rate housing, so you probably don't have too much to worry about.
Okay.
But that's not a, I want to make it clear, that's not a dig on affordable housing, because I'm very much for that as well. But this is not this is market rate housing.
All right, that's what clears my concern.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. Any other speakers?
Matt Kelly?
Good evening. I just want to address some of the comments that were made. With respect to the traffic circulation, there was a traffic report prepared for the entire development by a traffic engineer, and at that time, we were required to study this portion of the development at a much higher density. We are proposing 46 units. I think the traffic study had something like 150-something units in there because we had to provide a study that would allow for the maximum density for the project. With respect to the gentleman who was asking about whether the homes will be for sale or for rent, they will be for sale, but if someone wants to buy one and then rent it out,
Sure.
they're free to do that. In my opinion, the prospective buyers for this development will be first-time buyers for sure. They're smaller units. They're attached, multiple units attached to a single building. So then it's not the same rate as a single-family home, but I think they're going to attract first-time buyers. I think it may attract some senior folks to some of the smaller units who want to live in an environment that's still like a single-family environment. And I think some people will buy them because they can afford them and have it as a rental, as supplementary income, or maybe rent it out until their retirement age and then maybe retire there. So it's going to be a mixture, but as Chairman Lenore, I'm sorry, I only know you by your first name, pointed out, it's market rate. This is not an affordable housing project. There is no affordable housing component to it. If there aren't any other questions, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Another amenity I'd like to point out is we are converting a existing detention pond. If you guys live nearby, you probably are familiar with that pond that's in there. That's going to be filled in, and we're going to have a park-like feature there for the for the local residences.
So not necessarily just the residents of this development, but others in the neighborhood. You may be able to utilize the open space there. They're going to have some park area and a half basketball court and some tables and barbecue pits, so maybe your family would enjoy that. Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Carol.
Any other speakers? Okay, having no other speakers, we'll close the public hearing at 6:54 and bring it back to the commission if you have any questions or comments.
My concern is just if the parks, the school, they need, if we have a park there and they need to, there needs to be more adequate parking, and they can't park there now, I'm concerned about her concern, because I know what that area is like too.
I think it's a bigger issue though than this 47 units that are gonna add to the neighborhood. Plus, remember that they've reduced the number of units that they could actually build this out at double what they're doing. So that's something to be said for the applicant.
Right.
And
Well,
you're concerned with something that may not be in our realm right here of the planning commission, because we're hearing this application. He's conformed to all the parking requirements.
right.
So what basis do you have for a denial? You have to have findings.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that if the project is approved, that the Parks and Recreation, whoever's in charge of opening up some of that parking for the things that they're, the different things that go on, that, we're not boxing ourselves in.
So then,
to
would you like city staff to meet with city recreation with the concern of this neighbor here? Would that be a good thing?
I think so.
We can only require what we can require.
I understand.
So I think it would be good to communicate with recreation to say there's a concern about the additional traffic that's coming up there every evening for soccer practice, baseball practice, and see what they have to say about it. It's not something the planning commission can fix right here besides denying his project. That's the only other alternative that we have, and for me, it's just not a viable solution for that.
I would just love there to be some kind of conversation, which it probably should have happened before tonight, either from the school or, the rec department,
Well,
before this goes
because you're
the next
talking
step
about
up.
school stuff, so we're
Well, but
talking about
this is
us,
gonna impact, which is not, and I know they're taking care of their
project.
and their
Right.
people, and that's fine, which the
Okay.
traffic's gonna be crazy because of that, but more, it's like if we can, avert some kind of,
Okay,
if there's anything you can do before this goes through, then that would be great. So it's not like the other schools, because the other schools it is crazy, because
Yeah.
that's not what it was meant for when they were built originally.
okay. That's something the schools should address. Okay,
Madam Chairman, if I may remind you, the public hearing has been closed,
okay.
so at this
All right.
point,
Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So I'll bring it back to the commission.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve conditional use permit number 2014-4, and also the tentative map application 2014-3 as presented.
With the adoption of resolution 2014-32
32, yes.
and 33
And
for the
33.
tentative map.
33 for the map as well.
And then we're gonna get the parks involved, right?
And we're gonna make communication with the parks on,
Staff will make
the,
communication with Parks and Rec so that they can have discussions regarding.
So we don't get ourselves in a situation.
so the motion's on the floor?
Motion on the floor.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. We'll call them. Thank you so much. They'll speak with them.
He went around.
Oh, he's over there.
It's locked.
It looks like a nice project. I mean, it's just in the town. Yeah. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, most resolutions, I had one, whereas it was in front of another city council, and
Really?
it's like, there was one city council person that was sick, they only had 3, and they voted 2 to 1. So that was, it was a no action.
Well, a townhome,
And it was important, so then the
A
next day I said,
having
well,
a
can
townhome-
it just be the
townhomes to
majority
me
of 4?
are like,
So
to
2
me,
to
I
1 would be
picture
a majority of
those
the
as
quorum,
being
which is 3,
upscale.
3 is still a quorum.
So I don't see, like, I
But
would be
not-
concerned if
the
I'm moving
rule
in
is
there,
generally not for
if you were gonna put in like apartments, is that gonna cause my,
Which this
home
type of
values to
action
go
is,
down?
it's a
and I
resolution.
would think a townhome would not do that.
And if they implement homeowners association.
Okay, we'll get back to the proceedings here. Thank you, Commissioner Lenore. Vice Chair Lenore.
Thank you.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
I'm still on papers. Oh, I'm sorry, that was
No
yours.
problem. Okay. Well, let's see what we got here.
I'm not as good as you, so
Oh, I don't know about that.
that was a new thing for me.
Okay, good. Let's see, we're at new business. So do we have new business, Abraham?
No new business, Chairman.
Department
Nothing's going
reports?
No reports at this time.
No reports. Planning Commission reports. Guys getting ready for trick and treat? Huh? No? Okay. Halloween parties?
No Halloween party.
Okay. All right, well, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
I motion we adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned until November 20th, 2014. Thanks for coming.